So, today in the world of football, Germany is out of the World Cup. Rodney Lahi, we were talking about it. We didn't know if it was going to happen, but it has happened. Korea somehow managed to beat the Germans today. And it seemed to be like a very wasteful German side. For those who looked on at the game as you join into Just Kicking It, I see Sarah Chandu has joined, and I will tread very lightly in what I say because I don't want to upset her any more than she may be upset by now. But Germany lost 2-0 today to the Koreans, and as I was saying, Rodney, it was a pretty wasteful performance because the Germans had 70% possession and they had 26 attempts overall, but only 6 of those were on target. And that goes to show that that's 20 shots that were either blocked, that were maybe went over the bar. It was just horrible football in total, and it was the wrong time for it as well. It looked though that despite all of this, that it would have still ended 0-0. However, in added time, both Young-won Kim and Heung-min Son scored, and that turned everything on its head, which means that now from this group F, Sweden and Mexico have qualified. So saying hello to Jozan Ramjas. Thank you very much. I very much like this shirt as well. I told Rodney to wear something special today, but
I did. This is a neutral color, folks, so
I think
I'm on nobody's side.
I think
today.
he didn't want to risk looking like he supported anybody in particular today. He wore his somewhat Argentina colors yesterday, but you know, Sarah is actually saying that yesterday she's right. She actually did say that yesterday she wasn't sure what was going to happen in terms of that German game today, and it turned out to be what it is now. But it follows a trend, right? Since the turn of the millennium, which is since 2000, the year 2000, only one team in all the World Cups since then has managed to be defending champions and move through the group stage, and that was Brazil in 2002.
Well, they won in 2002.
Yeah.
So,
right?
Yeah. But
They made it past the group stage, and France, Italy, Spain, and Germany, of the other World Cups so far, they just couldn't make it past the group
yeah,
stage.
they were defending champions and they just couldn't make it in the next.
It seems to be
World
a
Cup.
curse or a hex of some sort that has been plaguing teams that won the World Cup. And I remember 4 years ago, you know, kind of being a bit upset when Spain went home, because that's the team I support. And when that happened 4 years ago, I was saying that I feel as though the very next World Cup, whoever wins would be in that same position, and so said, so done. The other game in that group was Mexico and Sweden. The Swedes scored 3 times. Mexico, Rodney was saying yesterday, seemed to be doing so well, and they were in such good form, but today they just succumbed. Perhaps it was tiredness, playing at the top level, this sort of football, World Cup stage of pressure that's on them as well. But it didn't matter for them because they still go through. The only thing with this result is that Sweden have now leapfrogged them and have gone into that first position to qualify top of the group. They got goals from Ludwig Augustinsson. That was actually his very first attempt on target for the World Cup. He played in all 3 games, but this was the first time that he actually got a shot on target, and he scored. And that started off a good trend for the Swedes, where they went on to score again. Andreas Granqvist, he scored another penalty in this World Cup. He has done so before, and that's his 2nd goal of the World Cup. That penalty was really well taken, sort of like the penalty Rodney took in that video that's online on our 103FM Facebook page after 10 takes.
Like yours.
Well, I had to miss, so you know, it was very, very common for me to do. And then in the 74th minute, a very unfortunate own goal was scored by Edson Alvarez, and that kind of just, you know, kind of summed up the game for Mexico. The ball, he tried to clear it, kicked the ball into his hand, and the ball bounced into the goal, and that made it 3-0. The Swedes made more of the chances that they had. They had 13 attempts on goal as opposed to 19 by the Mexicans, but 5 of them were on target as compared to 3 from the Mexicans. So already there you're seeing that they had less chances, but they made more of it, and that's why it ended up the way it is. Group E now, Brazil and Switzerland, they advanced first and second from that group. Brazil got past Serbia by 2-0. Goals from Paulinho and Thiago Silva got them past. Serbia seemed today like they just couldn't kick the ball straight. Again, taking a page out of Rodney Elahi's book.
My curves, when I kick, it's natural.
That it curves?
Yes.
Right, okay. Serbia had 10 attempts in total. They also think that's funny, apparently. They had 10 attempts on goal, and only one of those were on target. So out of the 10 shots that they took, one of them actually got to the goalkeeper and made him do something. Yeah. The others came off the bar, they went wide, or they were even blocked by the defenders. And in the final game that was played today, Switzerland and Costa Rica, they drew 2-2. Costa Rica equalized. That was a frantic game. That one didn't come across on television. And that one was probably the most frantic game we've seen for the World Cup so far. Maybe except for that Germany game where they won in the very last moments. Costa Rica equalized in the 93rd minute, and it was an own goal by the goalkeeper. There was a penalty. Brian Ruiz took the penalty. The ball struck the crossbar, came down and hit the goalkeeper in his head, and went into the goal, and it was ruled an own goal to Jan Sommer. So, poor fella, I'm not too sure how he'd be feeling, but, you know, Switzerland, they still advance, and they still have a chance now to advance in this tournament. They really bossed the ball throughout this entire game. They had 60% possession. This is where I want to bring in Rodney Elahi a bit more, because his analysis so far has been pretty accurate and on point.
Somewhat, except for the Germany.
Except for the Germany.
I honestly thought Germany would
I don't think anyone really expected the Germans to lose the game. If anything, I think persons were expecting that they would have scrapped a win or even drew on the match.
Yeah, I thought so. But right, back to that point you were talking about, defending champions going out in the group stage. Something has to be wrong, because in 2002, France got knocked out. They won in 98. In 2010, Italy got knocked out. They won in 2006. 2014, Spain, same thing, they won in 2010. And look, Germany, I would have never expected Germany to get knocked out in the group stages, especially since, 1980 something, if I'm not mistaken, at least 1990. They've either been finalists, champions, third place, quarterfinals.
They've been up there since those days.
Yeah.
But even with that in mind, this trend is what kind of bothered me throughout the day. And unfortunately, I was not in a position to look at the game live. I was on assignment at the time, and I had no internet where I was, no data connection where I was. And I was just looking at thinking to myself that I really do hope that the Germans come through it. Because I would have liked to see the defending champions move on, obviously, because they play fantastic football. However, that bothered me. This whole hex that apparently exists where these teams just can't seem to make it past the group stage. And Elbeem is standing outside that window there. If he just walks back a little bit, you might be able to see him in the corner of the screen. Oh Lord, I think I just got him to come into the video. There he is.
Sitaram, everybody.
That's Anil Beam, better known as the Beamer. Mr.
Beam,
Kachirizam.
you're a supporter of Germany since the last World Cup, right?
Yeah, supported them.
So how does it feel knowing
Two
that?
World Cups ago I started supporting them.
But how does it feel? I don't mean this as sarcastic, but how does it feel knowing that so much expectations were put on Germany and they just got knocked out?
Yeah, it feels weird. I mean, first off, they're supposed to be the reigning champions. Secondly, I don't think they have been performing as anyone expected Germany to perform. Thirdly, they're not finishing with any kind of goals. And fourthly, that Asian team today, that keeper is something else, right?
Yeah, and Beam...
They blocked some seriously good shots.
Beam mentioned it. You said something there that stood out. You said that they're not finishing the way that they're accustomed. I have a stat for you. They had 26 attempts on goal, and only six made it on target.
Yeah, so there we go. So that's official stats. 26 shots on that goal, and many were on point. And that guy saved so much. I'm talking about keepers, reading about the German keeper trying to score a goal. What's up? I think that looked a little bit comical, to be quite honest. I know it's desperation here, and someone mentioned he's accustomed doing that.
Yeah,
But
Neuer
that
is
caused-
known as a
that's
super
sweeper
keeper.
keeper.
That caused that goal is the salt in the wound goal.
Well, I think it was a do or die.
Yeah,
They were
it-
1-0 down. It was like, listen, you all score on me or we score on you.
Well, in that case, we
So-
should have. When I say we, us German supporters, we should have gotten about 6. Aye, that was not.
It's a
good-
risk at that point in time. It's do or die.
That's
Well, they died.
that's a statement or a situation that is very, I guess, controversial. Tell us in the comments. Do you think that, given the situation and the stage that the game was in, that Manuel Neuer, the German goalkeeper, had a right to be out there in the opponent's half trying to score a goal? He is known for doing it, but given the situation, given the tournament, do you think that that was something that he should have done? Beam definitely seems to think not so. Don't do that. You're a goalkeeper. Stay where you're supposed to be and let the other 10 players on the field try to save face for us. But let us know. Was Manuel Neuer wrong for doing what he did? Or did it just not matter at that point and he was going all out to try and save some face?
Did it have anything talking about saving face? Did it have anything to do with that coach that always. What is he always sniffing? I mean, like, the German coach.
Oh, he's not sniffing. He usually digs.
Oh, he's a dig and sniff kind of man.
He digs deep when it matters most. He digs deep when it matters most. As a Beamer.
I've seen other videos with him digging and sniffing and digging and
Rolling
And rolling. And
yeah, it's like.
That's an unfortunate way to segue into the knockouts of this tournament.
But
Sheldon Parastrom saying not in this type of games. I tend to agree with Sheldon, but
well,
knowing who Neuer is, it's expected as well.
I think you have to understand the news at that point in time. Germany didn't technically lose 2-0. Yes, on paper they did. But in the context of the game, they were fighting the game, they were trying to attack, they needed to win. Right? So obviously your defenses may be down. That's where the first goal came in. All credit to South Korea. The second goal, Manuel Neuer saw the need, which I would support him with. He saw the need to push forward. Listen, you are the defending champions. This is the last 5 minutes of your final game. If you lose, if it remains as is, you're home. You're going home. So this is the last 5 minutes that you have to salvage something, and you would go at all costs within the rules of the game to get that done. He did a goal, he went upfield, and I support him.
I guess
So-
given the context of the game, he had a right as knowing who he is and knowing his abilities. He's done it before, but my personal opinion is maybe he should have just stayed back and game would have ended.
It's like this, right? If he went upfield and he passed the ball to someone else and scored, or if he scored himself, if he scored a corner, you see keepers doing that all the time. Keepers would go up for a corner, final minute of the game, a corner is coming in. Now they weren't fortunate enough to get a corner, but he still went upfield. So if he scored or in some way was involved in a goal, everybody would be praising him for his foresight. Wow, he went upfield, that's well done. So it's a risk. At the point in time, it is a risk, and it was unfortunate that the second goal happened, but the second goal
Didn't
is
matter.
of no consequence.
Didn't matter. It didn't matter in
So-
this situation. Knockouts time, in terms of these two groups, they've been cleared up. We've figured out who's going through, who's going to play who. Here's what happens, Rodney. From this group, we have Brazil taking on Mexico on Monday, July 2nd. That's a 10 a.m. game. And on the Tuesday, another 10 a.m. game. That's the 3rd of July. Sweden will play Switzerland. What's your thoughts on that Brazil-Mexico clash? Mexico have been representing CONCACAF pretty well, but Brazil seem to be, on top of their game and somewhat, and are generally known for strong performances in the World Cup, and as well for the Brazilian fans out there. You would know that many persons have said that it's been far too long where a Brazilian team has not lifted the World Cup trophy. So given all of that, what do you think may happen in this game?
Well, you see that last statement that you made where people are saying it's a long time since because of the pedigree of a Brazilian team. The same thing I was saying about Argentina yesterday. Argentina went into the World Cup with the name, and a lot is expected. Germany is the same thing. Now Brazil has a good side. The last World Cup, 7-1 against Germany, didn't reflect good on them, but that was because of their defensive problems that it rippled throughout the entire team. Brazil is going to be a hard team to displace. Mexico is playing well. Mexico on their best day may be able to beat Brazil
I agree
on
with that.
an off day.
I agree with that.
If Brazil come to this game with what they have right now, and they peak at the right time, there's no stopping Brazil.
Well, momentum seems to now shift to Brazil's favor because Mexico today kind of fell off the bandwagon a bit, and they were a bit wasteful. Carlos Vela had probably the best opportunity of the game but couldn't curl it in. So they have lost sort of their momentum. Brazil, they have picked up momentum with a 2-0 victory. They played decent football, not the typical Brazilian style, of course. I think that was lacking today. But they played well enough to comfortably win. Now that momentum has switched, where Mexico are coming off of a loss, Brazil coming off of a victory, do you think that could shift the mindset a bit?
It could, but remember as well, this is a different round of games. This is the round of 16, moving away from the group stage. So mentality is going to change, tactics might change. But more importantly, look at the group that Brazil came out of. Serbia, Switzerland, or was it the fourth one? It escapes me at the moment. But Brazil played teams that have fortresses in defense. Switzerland has a very good defense.
Costa
Rica, with all due respect, not as good as Switzerland or Serbia. Serbia has a formidable defense as well with Kolarov and company. Well, not literally company, but company with a C. So the thing is, these defenses would be hard to break down, and they found a way to do so. And with all due respect to Brazil, Brazil has not peaked. They have not peaked.
They haven't.
They are still a team that's warming up now. Anything could happen. You could either go up or down or remain as is.
I think so far in this tournament we've seen about, in terms of their full potential, I think we've seen maybe 65% of their full potential.
Maybe, because remember you still have guys on the bench, defense-wise and strike-wise. Firmino doesn't even start. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So you're looking at a team that has not reached full potential, but as I said, it doesn't guarantee that they will. But Brazil has a winning mentality, so maybe they will. But to stray away from Brazil and Mexico, I honestly think the team to beat this World Cup is Belgium. Full stop.
I think that we can see Belgium in the final. I also think that we can see England in the final of this tournament. Those two teams will be playing very soon. We'll tell you about that in a bit. Sweden versus Switzerland, that's the other knockout game that came from today's matchups. I tend to lean towards Switzerland in this one, surprisingly. I know, given today's result especially, most people might want to lean towards the Swedes. But I think Switzerland do have what it takes to win this game. In that Brazil-Mexico match, I am going to predict a 3-2 victory for the Brazilians.
For the Brazilians.
What do you think is going to happen?
I don't think Mexico will get past Brazil's defense twice. But Brazil could break down Mexico.
I think they could get past the defense twice because of some of the things that I saw today watching that game. Now, they didn't play one of the best teams in the world. They played Serbia. Serbia, all credit to them, is still a very good team. And there were many instances where they could have gone through and gotten on target. However, they were wasteful. Remember, they did have, how much did I say? They had 10 attempts in general. Only one was on target. Had maybe 3 or 4 more of those been on target, I believe the goalkeeper Alisson would have had some trouble. And I believe that Serbia could have broken down their defense a couple of times today. And saying that Mexico's attack has been pretty good so far throughout this tournament, especially when it comes to guys like Carlos Vela. Vela has been fantastic in the tournament, and I think that he will score against Brazil. And I actually think that he can score twice. If anyone on that Mexican team has the ability to break down
one of the
Brazilian
things that Mexico
defense.
did admirably as well is not even on the field. This guy's Rafa Marquez.
Yeah.
He is in the dressing room. He's on the side. He's 36 or 38 now.
One of the most experienced people
but
in this World Cup.
he brings that control and that cool
mentality
and
exactly.
the experience as
What
well
they
to that
need,
dressing room. I think that's one thing that Germany was lacking as well. Something to really bring the team together. They have a lot of star players.
I think that's what they lost. They lost with Philipp Lahm. I think they lost that with Philipp Lahm. Lahm was one of their most experienced players. Neuer has a wealth of experience as well, but
he was out of the mix for a while.
For a long time.
He was injured for 9 months.
So I predict 3-2 to Brazil.
I think 3 for Brazil, but if Mexico get 1, they'll be lucky.
Yeah. All right. Sweden versus Switzerland. Quickly as we try to wrap up this video, what do you think is going to happen? Sweden maybe be getting past them?
Sweden and Switzerland have a lot of history together, two European teams, so they would be familiar playing each other. So it will take something out of the box, or it will take something from coaches, that is, or it will take something special on the day to really separate them. Switzerland have a guy called Shaqiri, and he is going to make the difference. I think he is going to make it. He's a guy who comes to big games.
You know, it's funny. I actually think that in this instance, it's going to be 1-0 to Switzerland, and neither Shaqiri nor Xhaka will be making the difference.
You think so?
I think they may be involved in the build up to the goal, but I don't think that Shaqiri or Xhaka will be making the difference. I think someone that we haven't heard about so far in this World Cup will be the difference in this game. Someone out of our minds' reach.
I honestly think this game will be a 1-0 either way, or it will go to extra time.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a 2, 3, 4, 5-0. No.
Extra time is also a possibility, but I tend to lean 1-0 towards Switzerland. Tomorrow, Rodney, we have a few games and some more group games on. Japan versus Poland at 10 a.m. Senegal versus Colombia at 10 a.m. That's Group H. That group is still wide open. Japan, Senegal, and Colombia all have a chance to advance. They are on 4, 4, and 3 points respectively. Here's what could happen. If Japan loses to Poland and Colombia beats Senegal, Senegal and Colombia could advance. But if Japan beats Poland and Senegal beats Colombia, Japan and Senegal will advance. Draws in both of the matches could see Japan and Senegal advance. So there's a lot that could happen tomorrow in terms of that Group H, and it's to be left to be seen tomorrow what happens. In the other group, Group G, that's the group with England. I know a lot of persons are looking forward to that. Panama versus Tunisia at 2 p.m. England versus Belgium at 2 p.m. It's a tussle basically for the top spot in Group G now. The other two teams have no chance of going through. That's Tunisia and Panama. They're both on 0 points. So it's really to see which one out of the two, Belgium or England, will be heading through top of the group.
Who do you think will come out on top?
And in that group, I tend to lean towards England.
You think so?
Simply because, and I know this is going to sound a bit far-fetched, but simply because of Harry Kane and the form that he has found. I feel as though Harry Kane, he's scoring in this World Cup because he just wants to score 15, 20 goals in the World Cup. I think he's doing it on purpose and knows exactly what he's doing, and in doing so, he knows that he can take England far into the tournament. So I think Harry Kane will prove to be the difference tomorrow. It may not be a one-goal game, but I think he, if not scoring a goal, will prove to be the difference either by assist or being a key player in the build-up.
Am I allowed to disagree with you?
You are.
I'm totally disagreeing with you. For two reasons. One, Harry Kane scored a hat-trick on paper. That's 3 goals. Big deal. Yes, credit to him. 2 very well taken penalties, which, all due respect again, is not as difficult as creating goals. Right? That's arguable. And the third goal was one of his shin or the back of his leg or whatever. So he didn't really show his best form. The Harry Kane is a world-class striker, but he didn't really show what Harry Kane is capable of. Dispatching 2 penalties, fine. That's one. The second thing is Belgium is made up, well, England is made up of a lot of English-based players, including Harry Kane himself. Belgium's defense is very familiar with Harry Kane.
England.
You have Vertonghen, you have Alderweireld, they both play in England. You have, well, if Company plays, if not, well, he's from Man City, of course. You have men in Belgium who are, again, Hazard does some defensive work as well. De Bruyne, he does some defensive work too. So you have men in that Belgium side who are very familiar with the English setup and the English style of play, the English players. And I think Belgium will not just cancel out England, but put 2 unanswered goals past them.
I feel as though England knows all of that, what you just said, and won't come with the simple English style of football. It's going to be a different type of game tomorrow. I still stick to my England victory. You can stick to your Belgium victory. We'll see what happens tomorrow. If you win, I'll buy you a doubles from across the road.
About time.
Panama versus Tunisia. What do you think that's going to happen?
Panama and Tunisia. Tunisia might have a small name, but they're a pretty good side. Panama didn't really show up too well in this World Cup. They had some glorifying moments, but I think Tunisia is a side with a lot of history in Africa, with regard to African football and representing Africa at the World Cup. Actually, in 2002 they qualified. In 2006, out of the 5 sides that qualified in 2002, they were the only one that qualified again in 2006. There were 4 other different teams. So consistency is a thing for Tunisia. They haven't qualified for a little while, but they have this time around. They've played okay. They've not played bad at all. Panama is very inexperienced in making their debut this time, and it showed up against the big teams. While they may not be demolished the way that England and Belgium did, dispose of them, I think that Tunisia will come over with a victory.
I think it'll go to penalties and Panama will go through.
How would it go to penalties as a group game?
Sorry, yes, you're right. I think then that it will be a close game because I can't see. You see, the reason why I said penalties is that I'm looking at the 2 names on paper and I can't choose a winner.
Tunisia will win.
I
Tunisia
can't
has a
choose a
winning
winner.
mentality.
I really
have a
can't.
different style of the African style of football. It's a fast-paced game. Panama is a side that can hold down a team if they play, for example, a CONCACAF side like Trinidad or Trinidad and Tobago or something. They could hold down a side and build pressure. But as soon as a team breaks that fortress and starts to put pressure on Panama, they crumble.
Sarah is laughing at me for saying penalties, but I do honestly feel that way. I feel like I can't choose a clear winner in this game. And I'll stick to that because Rodney has gone with Tunisia, but I don't know because Panama plays a fast type of football.
Well, fast compared to CONCACAF teams, but not fast compared to the world setup.
I still think that they might run Tunisia a bit tired in the field.
I wish that could happen. I want to see a good game, a fast-paced, energetic, competitive game, but I think Tunisia will get the better of them. Maybe 0-0 at halftime, but for 90 minutes.
I think if this game has to be decided, it'll be decided later on.
Maybe.
Post 80 minutes.
I think. Well, I'm assuming here that Tunisia will win, but they wouldn't just win based on a miracle moment. They'll win
Constant pressure.
Not comprehensively, like 3 or 4, 5-0, but they will win by dominating the game.
Constant pressure. Maybe. Let's see what happens. Senegal versus Colombia. I tend to lean towards Colombia in this one.
Yeah, well, I have to agree with you.
And if that happens, then Colombia currently sit on 3 points, Senegal on 4. They'll leapfrog Senegal, and it'll come down to what happens in the other game to find out who goes on top of the group. Because we'll have Japan and Poland in that game, and I will be going with Poland for this one.
Japan and Poland? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'll be going with Poland.
Poland was a bit disappointing in other games. Japan showed fight. If Japan comes out with their best game on the day, it could be a draw. But based on what we have, facts that we have in front of us, and based on an educated guess, per se, I think that Poland will come out on top.
I say 1-0 to Poland, because I feel as though Japan will come out fighting hard because they played well in their last game. So I think they will try to continue their trend of playing good football, and maybe Honda might have a say in the game as well. We'll see what happens, but I honestly feel like this game will be decided by 1 goal at least, just 1 goal.
We'll have to wait till tomorrow and see.
But those 2 games tomorrow, those are Japan-Poland game and the Senegal-Colombia game. Remember, those are simultaneous games playing at 10 o'clock, and it will have to be seen which one will be broadcast. If not, and you miss one of them, be sure to join us here as well on Just Kicking It, where we will recap all of it. And then at 2 p.m, we have, again, simultaneous games, only because the groups are coming to an end here and they don't want any corruption where one team already knows the result of the other game and just plays for a draw. So at 2 p.m, we have that Panama-Tunisia game, which I apparently thought will go to penalties, and the England-Belgium game. Yeah. I think tomorrow that Panama-Tunisia game will end 0-0.
Nah.
I think so.
I don't think so.
We'll see. And see, as we end this video, I see Jenny Lynn is saying Argentina. That's all I can say. Rodney Lahi will love to end with that, so we will end with that. Argentina is all that Jenny Lynn can say.
It was pretty disheartening, though. I came to work and I didn't see Sarah Chandu here, and I was asking you if she's here. You said she went to Aditlo this morning.
She did.
And she went straight home.
She did.
Something just like a Team Germany.
And that's how we end Just Kicking It. Goodbye to Germany, and we'll see you again in about 4 years for the World Cup. Hopefully that time around they get through the group stage. But, actually, just before we end, I bet you the team that wins the World Cup this year makes it out of the group stage 4 years from now. Let's hold that bet today.
Well, right, before we even close, what do you think causes that? It can't just be a hex, it can't just be a something from the gods. What causes it? I have my theory.
Pressure.
Maybe you could talk about that tomorrow.
Pressure. My personal theory is pressure, and having all that weight on your shoulders as defending champions. Everyone is gunning for you. Your fans are behind you to well, I say fans in terms of that all-encompassing word, not the die-hard supporters, but even the bandwagoners that jump on board. All of these people are behind you and are pressuring you to do the best that you can. And perhaps footballers are human beings just like everyone else in the world, except Rodney Lahi. And
I'm a demigod.
he is. I'm not too sure why he said that, because it definitely isn't because of his football skills. Anyway, maybe pressure gets to them, but I'd really like to have that discussion. Maybe sometime on air with Rodney Lahi. I'll stay back after my shift is over in work, and we'll have a small discussion on air where you guys again can join in, and I'll go live for that discussion so we can be interactive and discuss it. But my theory is pressure. Yeah?
Well, a disclaimer, you said that my football skills are what? My football skills are out of this world. Just like where the ball landed after you took that penalty.
Just to let people know that that was all staged. My football skills are actually not great. They're actually horrible, so yeah. Anyway, we'll end just kicking it for today because this video is just descending into me admitting my horrible footballness. But thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow again for another recap of the World Cup games. Yeah? It's a goodbye from Rodney Lahi and myself.